Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Monday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. We have some breaking news that just came out to the Azeroth United desk about the release of patch 11.2. We've got the Collector's Bounty event that we're going to talk about. We've got patch 11.2 PTR news. We've got the launch of AQ in the Anniversary Classic servers. We got a lot going on, so pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before I get into the news, I'll do a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in WoW, because I did a lot of stuff in-game. Most of the stuff that I did in-game, I will talk about it later when I do the main topic, which is the Collector's Bounty event. But I did do raids. So we did clear raid, and we're prepping for AQ in Anniversary Classic. So it's exciting. But at the same time, I'm kind of nervous because, like I've said before, AQ is kind of like the downfall of Classic. But anyway, so we went into... Actually, we did Onyxia, because the Onyxia reset hit on Wednesday morning. So since our raid nights are Tuesday and Wednesday, we did Tuesday, we did Onyxia, Blackwing Lair, and we cleared Molten Core. And then Wednesday, we did Onyxia again, and then we broke off into ZG groups, which was really cool. So I've been kind of struggling with my DPS on my hunter, because I feel like I'm doing the rotation the correct way, but I feel like I'm missing something because I'm always lagging behind the other hunters. And maybe some of it is I don't have the right world buffs. I didn't get the Dire Maul buffs. I just have the Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer and the Spirit of Zandalar. But I did a little bit of research on the hunter, and I'll tell you something really interesting that I found. There is not a lot of information about the hunter rotation in Classic. Most of the resources I found were from 2019 and from people who were discussing here's how this should work. And a lot of that information was based on private servers, not based on actual Classic servers that Blizzard released in 2019. And we have even different now. The ideas and the behavior of the class is different now than it was in 2019. That was 6 years ago. So yeah, I've kind of been doing a little bit of digging and poking around, trying to figure out the best way for me to do things. And I feel like I did better this week by doing some research, but I feel like in a lot of ways I was overanalyzing things and making it more difficult on myself. I'm not doing bad DPS. I'm doing green parses, which is, it's fine, but I'd feel a lot better if I was doing more blue parses and if I was really getting myself out there and putting in more effort. So I did that in ZG, and it was okay. I really got to get a better handle on the hunter, and I think that's something that is really going to make or break my experience in AQ and whether or not I'm really going to have a good time in this group or not. If I can't get my my damage up for AQ, then I'm going to be the one holding the group back, and I really don't want to be that person. So yeah, so I'm really struggling with that. But aside from that, I finally went ahead and I finished doing my leatherworking. So I did the quest for the tribal leatherworking so I could make the Devil Sword set, which I know we're super late in the process, but there've been a lot of people who are making alts who have come over from Season of Discovery because they're looking for something to do. They don't want to play Pandaria. And so they are making alts in Anniversary Classic, and those alts need gear. So any warriors, rogues, hunters that need their druids that need their Devil Sword set, I'll be able to make those now. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, aside from that, I didn't really do a whole lot in Anniversary. I haven't quite been raid logging, but there's just been a lot going on in Modern WoW to kind of distract me from playing Classic. I've decided I'm not going to try to raid again this tier for Season 3. I just don't have the energy for that. I'd rather raid. If I'm going to raid anywhere, it's going to be on Classic because it's where I'm having the most fun, even though I'm struggling with my hunter. But I definitely want to. I want to get my characters in a good place. So I've been working through my Death Knights. I'm gonna play the Death Knight again this time around. I've been running stuff on him, trying to get his gear up, and I ran a couple of LFR wings, just trying to tank them. I hadn't tanked the raid yet, so I've only DPS'd it, and so it's very similar. I just have to learn the tank swaps, which was fine. I went in there. It was so weird. I went in there with a 685 Paladin tank. I'm like, why are you in here? What are you doing? What is the point of you being in here? I guess they were trying to do the event, the Greedy Emissary event we'll talk about later. But yeah, it was just bizarre. So anyway, so I did that. But by and large, I've been having some fun doing different things in the game. Mostly just trying to get my character set up. A lot of my time this past week was spent dealing with stuff around the house, and quite honestly, the heat in the Ohio summer is just killing me. I was talking to my neighbor, and she said that I love the heat. I just hate it when it's cold. And I thought, well, that's valid, but I don't like this heat and the humidity. It's miserable. So, yeah. So that's really all I did. And I've just been like kind of messing around on stuff, not really doing anything important, not really focusing on any one thing, just kind of bouncing around from thing to thing in game in different versions of the game. So I also did a lot more 11.2 PTR testing, which has been really fun. I'm just testing the quest lines and going through and checking out the story and kind of seeing where things take us. So that's been a lot of fun. But I do have some I have a video that I'm working on for that hopefully I'll be able to release it before the before the launch of 11.2, now that we know when that launch date is going to be. But yeah, hopefully I can get that out. So anyway, yeah, I think we'll just head on to the news, and yeah, we'll just go from there.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so before we get into patch 11.2 and the release date and all this stuff, we're going to talk about the Xbox layoffs first. This happened last week. This was actually going on right around the time we were recording last week's episode, so I wasn't able to really get into anything about it. A couple things that I wanted to point out about this that you've probably already seen on Reddit or on the forums or on Twitter or somewhere. But in case you haven't, so Microsoft laid off around 9,000 employees across Microsoft. This is primarily hitting Xbox division. So this is not just a Microsoft layoff. This is mostly a gaming layoff. They really went through their gaming department. So I think this is the third or fourth major layoff at Xbox in the last 18 months. They're really cutting the numbers down. I don't know if they're trying to prepare for something, if they're just trimming staff to try to make a certain, they're trying to hit a certain break point for shareholders. I'm not sure. And they're obviously not saying. There have been several games that have been canceled. So as a result of this, which is very unfortunate, anytime you put your heart and your soul and your energy and your time into something like a game, it's always unfortunate to see that not ever see the light of day. So yeah, unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with now. This did hit Blizzard in a couple of different areas. So one thing is that the social media team for Blizzard, which has been killing it on social media lately, got hit pretty hard. I don't know if you are familiar with Jen and Eric. They are a couple who they cosplay as dwarves, and they do a lot of their content in dwarf cosplay. Really good stuff. They're working for Blizzard in the social media team, and they got let go. So a couple of other people who have posted on Twitter that they did not make it through this. It's really heartbreaking to see. And then the other big loss from this, which honestly to me is no real big surprise, even though it is unfortunate, is that Warcraft Rumble has been put into maintenance mode, which means that Blizzard will continue to maintain the game in the same vein as Heroes of the Storm, but they will not be adding any new content to the game. So they're just going to kind of keep the game as is and let people continue to play it. But the game is not going to see any active development in the foreseeable future. And Warcraft Rumble is one of those games that it launched with kind of a, yeah, I guess that's okay. And a lot of people played it because it's a World of Warcraft game or a game in the Warcraft universe. Honestly, for that type of game, there are better options. So I don't know. I mean, it was fine. I tried it a couple of times. I think their biggest downfall in the launch of the game is they didn't have it ready for PC launch when the game went live, because World of Warcraft players play on their PCs. That's literally what we do. We are playing on our PCs. I don't want to play games on my phone. I'm already on my phone too much as it is. I don't want to have to play games on there too, because if I'm playing games on my phone, it opens up a whole mess of nonsense. So, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think Blizzard could have done something with that. I also think that they could have made another version of this, maybe give it more of a base attack, like a Clash of Clans type vibe, which would have been cool. You pick out your units, you attack the base. You've got to put your foot soldiers over here. You've got to put your archers over there. That could have been fun, but again, it didn't really hit. So unfortunately, it's not canceled. The game is still there. It's still available. You can still play it. It's just being put in maintenance mode, meaning that it's just not going to be. It's essentially dead. So it's like Warcraft 2 is in maintenance mode, right? They're not adding any new content to Warcraft 2. That doesn't mean it's a bad game and that you can't play it. It just means that there's no more development for it. So with that, I would assume that the entirety or the majority of the Warcraft Rumble team has been let go. Again, it's really unfortunate. The whole thing. Blizzard, they're not making these choices. This is coming from Microsoft, which is through Xbox. But, at the end of the day, when you have a games company like a Blizzard, part of it is you have to kind of not adhere to what the shareholders say, but you've got to consider that, and shareholders want to make money, and making money is what drives these businesses. So, the old Blizzard is gone, and even though we have our new overlords at Microsoft, that doesn't mean that things are now going to be great and peachy keen and just unicorns and rainbows all the way to the bank. Just the bank. That's all we're getting. They're just going to the bank. So like I said, it's unfortunate, but it's just the reality of the corporate world in 2025. So there you go. That's unfortunate. All right, let's move on to less depressing news. Let's talk about patch 11.2. So the Ghost of Koresh, which Blizzard announced, what was it, a week or so ago? 2 weeks ago? It was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it has been announced the release date for this. Now, I have been speculating about this one for a long time, and I looked at the calendar many times. So the patch is going to come out on August 5th. The season will start on August 12th. Now, if you are familiar with the calendar that we have and what events are coming in the month of August, you know that Gamescom is August 20th through the 24th. Now, August 20th is the probable day that they're going to make any sort of announcement about Midnight, but we don't know for sure because Blizzard isn't saying. They're saying tune in from August 20th to the 24th to hear the reveal of Midnight plus other things. So they're not giving us an exact date of when it's going to happen. So here's my thing. We already know that the Midnight, the end of the War Within is going to dictate the beginning and the path for Midnight. So Blizzard, I think, wanted to get this raid out, the Manaforge Omega raid out before Gamescom. They wanted to make sure that a majority of players were able to see the end of the raid before Gamescom. Because when the announcement for Midnight comes through, it's going to spoil the end of the raid. That's what I believe is going on here. So Blizzard had to essentially rush the patch to get it in because they didn't decide the date of Gamescom. Gamescom did. So they were forced into a timeline because they wanted to do this reveal. So that's why season 2 is going to be a little bit shorter than season 1 and probably be shorter than season 3. If I have to guess, I would say season 3 is going to end up being about 26 weeks, 28 weeks, somewhere around there. We'll get a little bit longer of a season 3, but not long enough to have a season 4 is what I think. And the end of season 3 is going to be masked by the excitement of not only Legion Remix, but by the introduction of player housing at some point in that pre-patch cycle. So while yes, it is going to be unfortunate that we'll have a longer season 3, we're going to have things to do. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about Blizzard releasing things to do and getting the community involved in things. So we'll talk more about that later. So anyway, the Ghost of Koresh patch 11.2 will be launching on August 5th. Now, here's the thing. We've got this schedule down. We've got the patch cycle down. We know everything that's going to happen. We know how the raid is going to end. What we don't know is where the story is going to take us in patch 11.2.5 and 11.2.7. If you remember, in Dragonflight, the .5 and .7 patches where we kind of finished off the story of the expansion and then took us into the next expansion with here's where we're going to go. We were chasing down Xalatath and all of these things. So what is going to happen at the end of this raid? I don't know. But I think the real thrust of what's going to happen, what's going to really tie the stories together is going to be what happens in the .5 and the .7 patches. And we still don't know when those are going to come. I could speculate on those dates, and I'll probably do that in a future episode of here's what we think is going to happen on this date and on that date. But yeah, realistically, this is going to be, if I had to guess, if you made me choose right now, I would say we're going to get a pre-patch in February and we're going to get an expansion launch in March. That's what I think. I don't know. I really don't know anything, but that's what I think is going to end up happening. So if you're just want to have a target date in the future somewhere, that's what I'm guessing about February would be the, but I don't know. I don't know anything. I called Blizzard to ask and they wouldn't tell me. So, yeah, so, that's how it goes. So here's what's coming with the new patch, and we did go over this a couple weeks ago, but here's what's happening and here's when it's happening. All right, on August 5th, we're going to get the new Zone of Koresh, which includes the new story and quests. This is going to kind of finish off the War Within storyline. The new Zone of Koresh is cool. It kind of gives Outland vibes, Netherstorm vibes. It's like somebody said, what if we took Netherstorm and we made it we modernized it and we made it look crazy destroyed, like not just a little bit destroyed, but like bonkers crazy destroyed. That's what Koresh looks like. So if you've seen any of the screenshots or if you've checked out the BTR, you can see it. It looks really good. I'm really excited about this patch. We're going to get the new dungeon, which is going to be Echo Dome Aldani. And so the Echo Domes are, if you're familiar with Netherstorm, you know, the Ethereals built these big giant domes where they could actually grow things in Netherstorm. They're like, hey, we were able to make this work. And now I think we're going to understand why they were doing all of that is because they wanted to figure out how they could do that on their own world. And so they were testing things on Outland, which is why they were there in the first place. That's where I think the story is going to go, but we don't know. We're going to get a new cloak, which is the Rashii Wraps, which is going to allow us to do phase diving, which still a little unclear as to what exactly that's going to do for us, but essentially allow you to phase through things. There's going to be a mechanic on the first boss of the raid that's going to require you to use the extra action button on your cloak to phase through a particular mechanic, and if you don't, you're going to instant die. You get one shot. But and an interesting thing that Blizzard did mention the other day is that there will not be any cloak drops in season 3. So no raid cloak drops, no dungeon cloak drops. It's like in Legion when they gave us the artifact weapons, they took away all weapon drops. So we're going to get the same sort of thing here where you're not going to get a cloak in your vault and be like, damn it, I don't want a cloak. I already have this artifact cloak. This is worthless. No cloaks. It's like I got a belt the other day in my vault, and it's like, well, I have the the disco belt. So why do I need this belt? Anyway, this is something that Blizzard has been, players have been asking Blizzard to do anytime they have this new item. Oh, here's a ring. It's like, stop giving us 20 fucking rings then. Just give us, other stuff that's useful. And please stop giving us all these terrible delve trinkets. God, there's so many bad delve trinkets. Anyway, sorry, side topic. The new outdoor event is going to be Ecological Succession. So we're going to work with Venari on this. If you remember Venari from the Shadowlands, she was the one that was in the Maw and helped us out. Kind of was really sassy. So that'll be really fun. Hopefully we'll have an interaction with her and Zalatath. That would be great. Love to hear those two voice actresses get into it. We're going to get a new delve, which is the Archival Assaults, which is actually in the Azure Vaults in Dragonflight. So I'm not sure how that's going to, are we going to have to go to Dragonflight? I haven't checked that one out yet. Maybe I should check that out before I talk about it. So these are all things coming on August 5th. These are going to happen with the launch of Ghosts of Koresh, patch 11.2. Other things that are not on this little Blizzard infographic that they've given us. All of the new Mythic Plus pool dungeons are going to be available for Heroic and Mythic versions. So you can do dungeons on Heroic once a day, and you can do Mythic once a week. So during that 1 week, you'll be able to do each of the Mythic dungeons one time, which will be really cool. Give you some champion gear to get you started on your gearing quest for Season 3. So I think that's a really good thing. I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, this is not fair. It's ridiculous. You know what? Calm down. You can't make everyone happy. And so you're better off just making no one happy. That's my philosophy in life. So, so that's all coming on August 5th. On August 12th, we will see the launch of Season 12. Sorry. Wow, I just saw 12. On August 12th, we'll see the launch of Season 3, and that's going to include the new raid, Manaforge Omega. All of the raid versions, normal, heroic, and mythic, will launch on the same time. LFR, we haven't seen the schedule rollout, but I'm assuming that's going to be one per week for the next 3 or 4 weeks if they decide to break it up into 4 parts. So yeah, that's cool, I guess. The new raid, Manaforge Omega, launch on August 12th. So it means the race for World First will also begin on August 12th. And you know me, I'll do a whole episode about it because I get really excited about that. So I'll talk about the guilds that are vying for it, who's the likely winners are going to be, and who the up and comers are and whatnot. So Season 3 is going to begin. So it's going to be the actual Mythic Plus is going to launch. We're going to get a new PvP arena, and we're going to start getting our Raider IO scores up. So basically the week from August 5th to 12th is going to be a nothing week as far as score goes, but starting on August 12th, you'll be able to get your M plus score up as quickly as you desire. So enjoy running those M plus dungeons. The dungeon pool looks fantastic. I'm just going to say it looks really good. We have the Priory of the Sacred Flame. We have the Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker. It's such a good dungeon, but it's annoying. We have the Arakara City of Echoes, and we have Operation Floodgate. Those are all returning from previous seasons. We also have the new Echo Dome Aldani. We have the 2 wings of Tazavesh, which are going to be available as Mythic Plus. So that's Streets of Wonder and Solia's Gambit. And then the final one is going to be another re-release from Shadowlands, which is Halls of Atonement from Revendreth. If you remember that one, I actually really love that one. I'm really excited to be doing that one again. I will be doing some M Plus this season. I don't know how much I'm going to do. People have been telling me over and over and over again, listeners, different people that I've been raiding with, just all sorts of people have been telling me, stop running keys below 7. Just don't do it. It's a waste of your time. Get in at a 7 and get up to a 10 as quickly as you can. You'll have so much fun. So I'm going to try and do that this time. I don't know if I'll be able to. We'll see, because I'm going to be pugging, but I'll give it a shot. So if you want to run some keys with me, let me know. I will. I'll tank poorly, and it'll be a good time. And then finally, starting on August 12th, we're going to get Tazavesh available in hard mode. So this is going to be the full mega dungeon experience. You'll be able to go bosses 1 through 8, and you will get, I believe it's equivalent to Mythic Plus 10 gear in the dungeon and in the vault. So that'll be really good. You'll do that once a week. If that's something you're into. It's obviously going to be incredibly difficult those first few weeks as we are gearing up, but eventually I think that'll be pretty fun. So I actually like Tazavesh. It's kind of a cool dungeon. Some of the boss mechanics are a little annoying, but what are you going to do? And that's what's coming in patch 11.2. I don't know. Blizzard hasn't released any other information about it, so we don't know if there's going to be anything else that is going to be coming with that, but this is what we've got for the time being. So yeah, I'm really excited about this, and like I said, the timing of it really lining up with Gamescom, the Race to World First. Now here's the thing: if the Race to World First starts on the 12th and it finishes before the 20th, that's an 8-day Race to World First. That's pretty short. And I think a lot of people would complain about that. But alternately, if the race is still going during Gamescom, people are going to be upset about that because there's like, well, do we do this or do we pay attention to the race or do we pay attention to the Gamescom? It's kind of a weird timing thing. But again, like I said, Blizzard didn't decide this. They didn't get to say, hey, can you schedule Gamescom for later on in down the road? Because this is too it's not going to work for us. So. Just what it is. So there you go. That's the big news for the week. Obviously there was a lot of other news items going on, but this kind of trumped everything else, and I just really wanted to get into this particular news item. There you go. So and we'll talk about the collector's bounty in the main topic of the week coming up next. There you go. There's our news. Let's talk about what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. Okay, this is The War Within Season 2, Week 19. We're nearing the end of the season, folks, so you're trying to get that last bit of Mythic Plus score. Now's the time to do it. The +4 affix is Voidbound. Avoid emissary spawns while players are in combat and buffs enemies. So you just need to burn this guy down really quickly. It's not that big of a deal. The +7 affix is Tyrannical. Bosses have 25% more health and deal 15% more damage. That's what's going on for the week. More and more I'm seeing that players are getting to the +12 affix level where they don't have any more affixes to deal with, and staying there. And anything below that, I mean, yes, people are doing their +10 so they can get their portals, but that number has gone down significantly. I'll do a breakdown of World of Warcraft by the numbers next week, but it's really interesting to see how this, once you give players the option to say, hey, you can do this and not have a rotating weekly affix, they will take you up on that offer. So there you go. Voidbound and Tyrannical are your affixes for the week. Enjoy. I won't be doing, I can't imagine I'm going to do any more Mythic Plus this season. I will wait and start again next season. So, all right. The bonus event this week is the World Quest bonus event. You will get the Sign of the Emissary buff, which increases your reputation gains from World Quests by 50%. And you can also pick up the quest The World Awaits from Archivist for Thrune in Dornogal to complete 10 World Quests in Khazalgar. And you will receive 2,500 reputation with the faction of your choice, of the major factions, not any of the side factions. You're not getting your cartel rep with this. And then the Turbulent Timeways is still going on. So this is now week 4 of the Turbulent Timeways. So if you have not started your grind to get the mount, unfortunately, you are no longer able to get it. That's just the way it is. You need to do 5 weeks. And you've already missed 3 of them. So unfortunately, if you have not done any weeks yet, you are out of luck. But if you have done at least 1 week in the past 3 weeks of time walking to get the buff, you are good as long as you do every single one from here on out. So the time walking event this week is Warlords of Draenor. You'll get the Sign of Iron buff, which increases Warlords of Draenor reputation gains from combat and quests by 50%. You also pick up the quest A Savage Path Through Time from Archivist for Thrune in Dornogal to defeat 5 time walking dungeons, and you'll be rewarded with a Hero Track raid item. So that one's pretty cool. If you're looking for maybe gearing up an alts, or like me, if your main didn't really do much this season and you want to get him leveled up or geared up, you can do that and it'll get you a nice piece of gear. The dungeons available this time are Auchindoun, Bloodball Slag Mines, Everbloom, Grimrail Depot, Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, and Skyreach.
Skyreach.
The PvP brawl for the week is Arathi Blizzard. Put away your bathing suit, pull out your parka, and enter a winter wonderland as the Arathi Basin you know and love gets a fresh coat of ice and snow. You'll be racing your way between the farm, stables, mines, lumberyard, and blacksmith through piles of snow over a mostly frozen lake. One more thing, the weather forecast calls for a bit of fog of war. We hope you're prepared for the winter. Yeah, this one's really cool because it's Arathi Basin. And the only thing that's different is that it's frozen. The lake is frozen. You can run across the lake. The fog comes up, so you can't see from the lumberyard to the blacksmith. It's really cool. This one I like. Most of the brawls are kind of like, whatever. It's just a twist on something. I'm not super excited about it. This one I'm really excited by. This one is fun. So, because I like Arathi Basin. That's probably my favorite battleground that's still in the game. So yeah, this one's good. So when you zone in, you'll pick up the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest Honor and Marks of Honor. In other events, we have the Dark Moon Fair that is currently in town that started on July 6th. That will end on July 12th at 11:59 p.m. You know the Dark Moon Fair, and you know how I feel about it. I love the Dark Moon Fair. It's always a good time. You can go and get your profession skill ups. If you have not maxed your profession, you can get knowledge points. If you have maxed your profession, you can get profession skill in a previous expansion, which is really cool. You can go ride the merry-go-round or the roller coaster to get the XP and reputation buff. You can get shot out of the cannon. You can fly through the rings. You can do all the cool stuff at the Dark Moon Fair. I love the fair. There's really cool transmog you can get there. You can get the Dark Moon dirigible. It's just a good time. You know, it's like going to the fair when you're a kid and you're like, hey, this is actually really fun. And then after you've been there for a little while, you're like, actually, I'm going to go home. That's kind of how I feel about the Dark Moon Fair. So anyway, check out the Dark Moon Fair. It's in town until Saturday night at midnight, roughly. The final event for this week is the Luminous Luminaries event. Now, this one, I've been doing this podcast for a while now, and I still am not quite sure what this event is. Basically, you go to Vashir, and you're supposed to be farming this currency from these specific creatures that are only active during this event. You get the currency, you get buffs that help you get more of the currency, to help you get more buffs, to help you farm faster. I guess it's good for filling out your traveler's log. So if you're struggling with things to do for your traveler's log, this is a really good way to get some extra points in there. Otherwise, it's just a fun little thing for you to go do. It really gives you nothing other than the experience that you gained along the way. So if you're just looking for something light and fun to go do in World of Warcraft, check out the Luminous Luminaries. That it will be on July 13th, which is Sunday. So go check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. I think. I don't know. I've never been. I have no idea. Maybe it's terrible. Maybe it's the worst thing that Blizzard has ever invented. I don't know. Yeah, so that's what's going on this week. You know, when we get to this part of the season where it's like, okay, Mythic Plus is kind of dying down. The raid has, raid guilds are on hold for the rest of the season. There's not really a whole lot going on. There's still people doing stuff. There's still groups going. There's still people trying to get into raids, trying to get into Mythic Plus groups. But it's getting a little rough. And I'll tell you right now, this is when I really wish that Blizzard had already implemented some sort of penalty for toxic behavior. Not just the lever penalty that they're talking about doing in 11.2, but just, if we could have some sort of a social score, some sort of a vote like, hey, this person didn't really know what they were doing, but they were nice. Or, this person was, they had really good DPS, but they were a giant asshole the whole time. Some sort of score that you can give people that goes, hey, this person's good or not good. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that's a terrible idea. I'm so tired of the toxic behavior. And every time I go and do a dungeon I did a time walking the other day on my paladin. and who's not level 80 yet. And when I was running through the mobs, the priest decided not to keep up with us, the discipline priest. And so I died. And then the priest came running over, and their response was, WTF was that? And I thought, that was, you didn't heal me. Why are you yelling at me? What the fuck? Anyway, I'm really tired of toxic players. So, this is kind of the doldrums of the season. So, if you want to find something fun to do, like the Luminous Luminaries or the Dark Moon Fair, that's great. Or you can check out the Collector's Bounty and Greedy Emissary events that are going on now. You like that segue? That's going to be our main topic for the week. So let's move on to that.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
So we're going to round off the show today by talking about the Collector's Bounty event. And if you're not familiar with this event, and some people who don't play retail WoW, or maybe if you just haven't really been logging on very much, this is actually the Greedy Emissary event. It's a Diablo 4 tie-in from 2 years ago that they're bringing back as a way to just give people something to do at the end of Season 2. An additional thing that they're doing this time around is they're having the Collector's Bounty event. And what this does is it increases the drop rate for mounts in pre-Dragonflight dungeons and raids by up to 10 times, which Blizzard has told us is about 5% increased drop rate. So if it was a 0.1% drop rate, then it's now a 5.1% drop rate, or so on and so forth. The thing that has made this event so special, and the mounts are very exciting, and a lot of people have been posting on Twitter and Blue Sky their new mounts, their achievements that they've got for getting the mount. Everybody's so happy, so proud. The real benefit from this that I've discovered personally is that in addition to the increased mount drop rate, Blizzard has increased the transmog drops that come from these dungeons and raids by double. So instead of getting, say, 2 pieces of gear from a boss, you're going to get 4 pieces of gear from a boss, or something like that. It's not exactly cut and dry, but you get the idea. You're going to get roughly twice as many transmog options. Now, the thing that makes this so interesting is that you can run Ice Crown and try to get Invincible. You can run Battle for Dazara Lore and try to get the Jaina mount or the Gmod mount. You could run Tempest Keep and try to get Ashes of Alar, etc. But you could also just run any old raid or dungeon that you like the transmog for, and you'll have a much higher chance of getting that transmog. Because in addition to the increased rate of transmog, we're also getting warbands. And so the warband makes it so that any piece you get is usable by anyone in your warband. Now, the one thing that I'm not clear on how this works is the Warglaives of Azeroth. Now, Blizzard has said that there is an increased drop rate for the Warglaives. I got the main hand on my Demon Hunter. I did not get the offhand. I guess if I run it on any character that can dual wield, it's technically something that I can still get credit for. But regardless, that's not the point. The point is not how to min-max your dungeon and raid runs to get the most items. This is about, or what I wanted to talk about was this type of event. Blizzard has created these types of things in the past, where the entire community will come together and do something that nobody had thought about previously. The last time that I recall this happening was the Mists of Pandaria remix. Suddenly, we were thrust into Mists of Pandaria, and we were all farming these mounts and transmogs that we hadn't even thought about previously. Like, yeah, okay, so you want the Tusks of Manaroth, or you want this Cloud Serpent or that one, whatever. But really, this event, the Mists of Pandaria remix, gave us all in the community the chance to do something all at the same time, which allows for community discussion and sharing our experiences with each other in a way that is completely relatable and is something that it's one of those flash in the pan moments. You had to be there. when I'm running these old raids or these old dungeons, you go to zone in and there's 20, 30, 40 people standing out in front of a dungeon that nobody has been standing in front of for years, except for Ice Crown. Everybody wants Invincible. But you go to Tempest Keep. Nobody's standing in front of Tempest Keep. Nobody's just hanging out there waiting. But now they are, because you have people bringing their alts in. You have people waiting for their friends, or they're waiting on a cooldown, or whatever it is that they're doing. Like, oh, I'm running on my alts or on my one character, and then I gotta switch over. So I feel like this type of event is something that Blizzard, while they don't want to do it all the time, because if you have constant community events, it's not special. And so I get that. But you do need to do it every so often. And the last time we did this was right before the launch of The War Within. So now we're at the end of season 2 of The War Within, and we're getting another one. And you know what? We're going to get another one at the end of The War Within with the Legion remix. And so I feel like Blizzard has finally learned the lesson, which is, yeah, you can do all of the things that you want to Mythic Plus. You can do all of the things that you want to Mythic Raid or Delves or any of those other pieces of content, PvP even. And it will not bring the community together in a way like this type of event. People are all excited. And yes, there's always the people who are complaining. I ran this 10 times and I didn't get any mounts. I've done 30 raids this entire weekend and I didn't get any mounts. Yeah, you know what? That stinks. It does, because you know what? I've gotten 2 mounts. 2. And that's not even like exciting ones. I got the Onyxia mount, and I got I don't even know what's called, the Ghastly Charger from the 9 in Sepulchre of the first ones. Those are the 2 mounts that I've gotten during this event. I've probably run 20, 25 raids during the course of this. And a handful of dungeons. I didn't do a whole bunch of dungeons. But you get the idea, right? I'm part of this, and I'm having fun just like everybody else is. But it's also got me, or it's tickling that transmog feeling in my bones, where I'm like, ooh, I really want to get this transmog. So you go and you get all these transmog pieces, you learn them all, and then you go, oh, you know what I need? I need this one other piece. And then you go on a mission. So I went on a mission. I went to the I created a transmog for my hunter, and I wanted the Kyrian wings, but they didn't look right. So, because I put them on the transmog, it didn't quite look right, and I looked to see, well, what are the other recolors? And that's when I remembered, oh, that's right, there's a black and I guess it's kind of a pinkish color recolor of these Kyrian wings. And the transmog that I had done was a more black and purple. It's based on the new Forsaken transmog that's available on the trading post. So I said, well, how do I get these Kyrian wings? The black and purple ones. Well, you've got to do Path of Ascension. And if you remember, in Shadowlands, Path of Ascension was probably the worst of the 4 Covenant side ability or minigame things that you could do. So the Ardenweald, you had the Queen's Conservatory. In Maldraxxus, you had building the Abomination. In Revendreth, you had the courts where you had to throw parties. This one actually required you to go in and defeat different competitors, but you weren't actually fighting them. You were playing as Pelagos, Clea, or Mechanicos to fight them. And so you had to use their special abilities, and you had to learn how to use them, and you had to craft gear and get different buffs so that you could beat them, because they were really hard to defeat. And you had a timer, and if you didn't get it in the timer, you lost. So I thought, well, let's see how hard this is, and if it's something that I can just do. So I got on my warrior, who I happened to remember was a Kyrian. I took him to Shadowlands, and I went over there, and I said, "Oh, I've never done the pre-quest for this, for this feature in the Covenant sanctum." So I said, "Okay, well, let me do the pre-quest. Let me figure out what it is that I have to do." So I started doing the pre-quest, and I was like, oh, I've got to go farm all of these components that you need to make all of these lures to bring in all of the different bosses that you have to fight. So I said, well, I don't want to do that. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna see if any of my other characters happen to have this. So I logged onto a couple of other characters. My paladin, who was level 71 at the time, he not only was he Kyrian, but he had his Sanctum upgraded to rank 4 of the Path of Ascension, and I was able to get the everything started. He had a lot of the items in his inventory already in his bank that had just been sitting there. So I went through the whole thing. It took me a day and a half because I had to upgrade from rank 4 to rank 5 in the Sanctum upgrades on the Path of Ascension, which required me to go to the mall and gather souls. It was a whole thing that I had to do. It took me some time. But once I got everything done, I finished all of the achievements. I was able to buy the transmog that I wanted. It's much easier now at level 80, or he was 71 at the time, but I've since leveled him up. He's 78 now. But it's a lot easier to do. But the point is, it created this urge in me to play World of Warcraft, not being forced to log on, not raid logging, not logging on for Mythic Plus score. I've got to fill up my vault. I've got to check my boxes. I've got to do my weekly, get my keys, get my 2 pieces of veteran gear on my alts, do these things. I got to do my horrific visions. I got to tick the little box there. No, this was something I was doing for fun. I went on a mission, an adventure. And that's what World of Warcraft is about. It's about going on these adventures. And yeah, sometimes they're scripted and structured for you, and sometimes you just create your own adventure. And that's what I did. I created my own adventure. I found something that I wanted to do in the game, and I went and did it. For no reason other than I wanted my hunter to look cool. And she does. She looks really cool now. But my paladin's still not level 80. He's stuck at 78. But I'm going to get him to 80. I'll probably get him to 80 tomorrow because we're going to get a new time walking. So, the point is, these events, they trigger in us the desire to want to play the game for fun, not to check a box, not to get a score, not to fill up your vaults, not to do the thing that you feel like you're required to do. We're not farming artifact power. We're not farming Azeroth power. We're not farming anima, right? I hated farming anima and souls in Shadowlands. Now I'm doing it for fun. How weird is that? And that's the beauty of this game, is that this game creates a situation where you can go and do something for fun. And it doesn't matter if it's something that maybe, it's not current content or that's not important. It doesn't matter. Are you having fun? I can go back and play any old game that I want. And it doesn't matter because it's 10, 15, 20, 25 years old. Am I having fun? Okay, that's what's important. Am I enjoying my downtime? So the Collector's Bounty event, while it has been very successful, I feel like Blizzard could do this sort of thing in an even better way. Make it so that during a certain time period, maybe even during time walking, if we go that route, you could say, okay, during time walking, you can farm all the transmog for this particular expansion easier. Maybe the Collector's Bounty applies during that time walking period. Now, obviously that wouldn't work for Shadowlands because we don't have Shadowlands time walking, but you get the idea. This is something that we could go do, and Blizzard could create a system for it. Now, I do like I said, if you do it too often, it becomes a thing where, okay, this is now no longer an event. This is just a thing that happens all the time, and now I'm feeling required to go do it because it's up. No, you need to keep it random and spontaneous so that it's exciting. But you also want to give people something to look forward to. So if you say, hey, we have time walking every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, we get a different time walking, and we're going to cycle through all the time walkings so that in 20 weeks, I'm going to get this time walking that I'm really gunning for. It's going to be back in 21 weeks or whatever it is. However often it would be, maybe that's the one that, call it an empowered time walking or something, whatever you want to do. There's ways that you could make this type of event occur again and make it fun and make it a community driven thing. But again, you don't want to overuse it. You don't want to abuse the excitement of the community. You don't want to mistake community excitement for this is now what people want to do with the game. People still want to do Mythic Plus. People still want to do Raid, PvP, even Delves. But having these little side adventures is something that people crave in World of Warcraft. This is why vanilla World of Warcraft worked so well, because the game didn't have any structure. It just said, all right, go do the thing. What do you want to do? You going to go farm this item? You going to go do quests in this zone? Who knows? What do you want to do? It left it open-ended for us. We created our own fun within the framework that Blizzard created for us. Now, obviously the modern game is very different. Everything is very structured. Everything is very organized. And even within that organization, it's still kind of confusing where you go, well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Supposed to be doing? This is a video game. We're supposed to be having fun. Why are we being forced to do all of these chores and tasks? Sometimes I combine my words. Why are we being forced to do all these chores and tasks if they're not fun? Blizzard should not be giving us things to do that are not fun. They should be giving us things to do that we're having so much fun with. We don't realize we're doing chores and tasks, because I was just doing my Shadowlands chores. That's it. That's all I was doing. But I was having fun because I was excited about getting a piece of transmog that I've wanted for a long time and just really never put the effort in before. But I was motivated by this event, by the Collector's Bounty, to go and do that. So I feel like Blizzard inadvertently created a scenario wherein they have this perfect coordination between all of these different people. I'm not the only person doing this, mind you. There were people running around Shadowlands just farming stuff. Level 80s, randomly. I'm not the only person that was doing this. So if you're participating in the Collector's Bounty event and you're enjoying farming your transmog, or you're enjoying not getting your mounts, or maybe you got all the mounts you wanted. My wife got Invincible, Memoron's Head, the Blue Drake from Utgard Pinnacle. She got the Drakes from Eye of Eternity. I think she got the Jaina mount from Battle for Dazar'alor. She got so many mounts. I've gotten 2. It's kind of sad, but she also ran probably 50 raids this weekend. So, it's how it goes. But still, the point is, I really am having a good time with this event. And I really wish that Blizzard would do more of this sort of thing. Obviously not to the extreme, like I said, but give us a little bit more. Maybe once every few months, we could have something like this where it's a really fun, cool, community-driven thing. And it doesn't always have to be mount or transmog related. It could be something else. I mean, we got Plunderstorm the first time and it was amazing. People really loved it. The second time around, they gave us the rewards too fast and everybody burnt out really quickly. They've tried with other things to give us something interesting to do, and not everything is going to be a home run. Sometimes for every Plunderstorm, you get a Dastardly Duos, and there are people doing it and there are people enjoying it, but by and large, it's kind of a meh event. Same thing with the return of Horrific Visions. People do it. I've been doing it, but I could have lived without it. I'm certainly not posting on Twitter excited about the thing that I got in Horrific Visions. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Horrific Visions. It's just another game system that we're interacting with. Just like, oh, I finished a delve. Nobody cares. So, that's just how it goes. But like I said, I really hope that Blizzard can come up with these types of things more often and give us these events in game. The Greedy Emissary event by itself is pretty cool. It's actually a really cool event. I did the raid in LFR so I could get my my dinars on my Death Knight. And when you do that, at the end of one of the bosses, I did 4 bosses, and at the end of 2 of them, you get a portal. It's just something is spawning or something is opening, something like that. And then after a minute, a little guy jumps out, everybody kills him, and then you get loot. And it was like, okay, that's cool. It's not particularly exciting, but it was a thing and it did happen, and it was like, all right, that's cool. And I looked at the currency and I thought, well, if I get enough of this currency, I can go buy these things that I want, this transmogs. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm not like super thrilled over it, but it's also kind of a nice little, oh yeah, that's cool. But I'm also not seeking this out. If I was seeking it out, I would probably be getting a lot more of the currency, but also, I don't know, that's not my type of event. I don't like those big community-driven things where everybody's standing and waiting at a portal. I don't like that. It was like the pre-patch event for, not the War Within, for Dragonflight, where the elementals were attacking, and we were all just standing around in Ungoro waiting for something to happen. That's not my kind of event. I don't like that. But in Legion, where we were flying around like an army of murder hobos trying to kill the next demon that landed, that was fun. I enjoyed that. That was a good time. So I guess really I'm just telling you what I like, not what the community should like. And I do understand that there's a distinction there. I'm not the voice of the community. I'm not the man of the people. That's Stratnos. I am Denethar. I can only speak for myself. But I can tell you what I like because this is my show. So I'm allowed to do that. And yeah, this is something that I am hoping that we get more of, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what Blizzard does with this sort of thing in the future. That's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. It truly honors me to know that people, after all this time, are still listening to me. We're coming up on 100 episodes of Azeroth United, and people are still listening and tuning in, and new people are finding the podcast, discovering it, and checking it out and enjoying it. At least I hope they're enjoying it. I don't know, maybe they hate it. But it's to me, every time that I get to do this, it is a privilege. It is a pleasure. I am so pleased to be able to continue doing this. I'm having so much fun with it. Yes, some days are better than others. Some weeks are better than others. I have decided I'm not going to use my camera for the rest of the summer because it's just too damn hot, and I just don't feel like going with the long hair and all that stuff. It's like, you know what? We'll give it up. We'll start it up again in the fall. We'll get some YouTube videos going. We're going to do some of that stuff. But as far as the podcast goes, it's a long time to be sitting there and trying not to sweat in front of a camera. So I'd much rather just get on the microphone and talk to you than try to put on a performance show with a web camera on. It's probably better this way anyway, that you just hear my voice and not have to see my face. So I'm glad that you are enjoying the show. I mean, if you're listening to this at this point in the show, I'm assuming you enjoyed it. Otherwise, what are you doing? Maybe you fell asleep and it was just playing and I'm just rambling and you're like, bro, I'm trying to sleep. But anyway, yeah, seriously, thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start putting together the 100th episode of Azeroth United. I'm not sure when that's going to be. And like I said, I'm going to be out of town on the week that Gamescom, basically the entire time the Gamescom is going on, I will be out of town. So I'm not sure. I might end up pre-recording an episode for that week. That might be episode 99. And then when I get back, we'll do episode 100. I'm not sure. We will figure that out at that time. But that will also be our 2-year anniversary episode. So it's going to be kind of a special deal. So anyway, yeah, it's really exciting stuff. I mean, it's exciting for me. I don't know. Maybe you're not excited at all, but I'm having a great time. So yeah, if you'd like to be on the show, if you say, hey, I want to get on, and if you're going to do a Discord call, I want to be able to get on the Discord call and talk. I'm going to be setting that up in the next couple of weeks before I go out of town. We're going to do some Discord calls. We're going to get people on. We're going to talk about WoW. We're going to talk about the show, or whatever you want to talk about. My goal is to just get people on and talk about whatever. And if you want to talk about Azeroth United, great. If you want to talk about who you are and you've got something you want to, maybe you've got your own YouTube channel or your Twitch stream or your podcast that you want to talk about on the show, come and do it. You know, I'm not above letting other people come on here. I don't really I'm more concerned about stepping on other people's toes than I am concerned about people stepping on my toes. So I'm happy to have any content creator that wants to talk about their content come on this show and talk about it, especially coming into the 100th episode of the show. I think that would be a good time to kind of put all that stuff together. So that'll be part of what we're going to be doing. And then as for the rest of it, I still haven't figured that out yet. I'm working on it, but yeah. So there you go. If you want to get a hold of the podcast, if you're enjoying the show and you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email at azerothunitedpod@gmail.com. That would be the way to just let us know anything that you're anything you think about the podcast. If you want to get a hold of us about just whatever you want to say, or nothing, you just have a question, you want to criticize something that I said, please email it. I'm happy to receive it. You can also reach me on Twitter, or reach the podcast on Twitter. It's AZU Podcast on Twitter. That's the handle I had to pick because Azeroth United Pod was too long and Azeroth United was taken, so I don't know, it's a thing. So that's that's the way it goes. If you want to reach me directly, I'm available on Twitter. I'm at Denethar on that platform, and I'm also occasionally available to watch streaming on Twitch or YouTube. I am at Denethar01 on both of those platforms. If you want to help out the podcast, if you've been enjoying and you're like, hey, how can I help you guys out? There's a couple ways you can do that. You can give us a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. That would be really helpful. That helps out the algorithm. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's awesome. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can help us out by giving us a 5-star rating and review on either of those platforms. Especially the Apple Podcast, that really helps out the distribution of the podcast. So if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you're like, you know what, this is a pretty good show, it would really help us out if you would just give us a 5-star rating and a little comment talking about how you like the show. It really helps out. And if you give us a comment, I will read it on the air. And so if you want to say something funny, please feel free to do so. It's your space to say whatever you want. And then the other way you can help us out is by joining our Patreon. So we have a couple different Patreon subscriber tiers. We have a free tier, and then all the way up to our top tier, which is friend of the show. We have a few friend of the show patrons that I'd like to thank right now. That is Judge Omni, Stuglife, Theliel, and Greybeard. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. And then the other thing you can do is you can join our Discord server and you can join the conversations there. We've got some things going on. It's been kind of slow the last couple of weeks, and I think part of that is that people are taking a break from WoW as we get to the end of Season 2. And I'm sure it'll pick things up as we get into Season 3 and Patch 11.2. So, but go ahead and jump on over and join in the conversation. We'd love to see you. So, and I think that's it. That's going to wrap everything up. So once again, thank you so much for listening. It means so much to me, and I really appreciate it. So, all right, take care of yourselves out there. It's a rough world, and people are sometimes mean. So, just remember that's a real life person on the other side of that keyboard, and maybe they like farming mounts and you like farming transmog. You can still come together and enjoy the fact that we're all having fun trying to get our pixels. And check our little boxes. So that's quite all right. So just smile and nod and give them a thumbs up, or however you want to denote that you're happy. All right. Take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.